Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. So in today's video, I just wanted to share with you some of my craft room must-haves. So some of these are like, you know, storage ideas. Some of these are just things that I find have been very helpful in my craft room. Some of these are cleaning, so it's a mixture of everything. But I've not actually seen many people do videos like this. Because generally it is like one orientation towards one thing. But yeah, so we're just going to hop straight into this. So the first thing that has been a lifesaver for me, this isn't my crafting desk, by the way. This is just my packing and editing desk. But on my filming desk, I always have this on the left hand side of me. Now this is just a storage container. It just rotates. I actually got this off Temu, I believe. I have two of these and they're just so helpful to have on my desk. I can just swivel around, find what I need out of here. So in here is my everyday use tools. So obviously we have pencils. I mean, I really should organize this again. So while we're talking about it, let's just do that. Because there's so much in here, like, it's getting dirty in there as well, but, like, obviously I haven't got the energy to go downstairs and clean it. So, first thing that's in here is my masking paper, or masking tape, and this is from Spectrum Noir. I only reach for this now and again when it's, like, something that's a big thing that needs to be organized, so I tend not to reach for this one as much. I generally go for my Heavy Doodle blue tape. But that one is very useful when it comes to like a bigger space. I then have my jewel picker. Now I have a love-hate relationship with this because sometimes it'll pick up my gems no problems. Other times it doesn't, and it's just really frustrating. So sometimes I just like stab it into my desk to give it that tacky. Maybe I'm supposed to sharpen it every so often, but I haven't got a clue. But yeah, that just stays in the middle. And then I have my Hunky Dory low-tack tape. It does rip my cards sometimes, so I have to make sure like I do this a couple of times to make it less sticky, but again, I hardly reach for that anymore. I just tend to wing it. So yeah, I then just have my basic ruler in here, and then we have some pens and stuff in here. It's a mixture of everything that I use. So I have my picker tool. I generally use this for my 3D foam adhesives. We have our craft knife in here. Again, I hardly reach for this unless I need to do something like very intricate and it needs to be cut out. I then have two sets of scissors in here. So we have this silver pair. I actually have no idea where these came from, but these have been like the best scissors for me. Because even when I use them with like my sticky tape, it doesn't stick to it. But yeah, they're my favorite scissors. And then I did go out and buy these. Now these kind of remind me of school scissors. Can anybody else remember? I also have ink on my hand. Ignore that. But these are supposed to be spring assisted scissors. So it makes it easier if you're cutting for longer periods of times. So that yellow thing just brings it back, like. But when I'm cutting, I'm generally cutting upwards, and then that happens. So I hardly reach for these scissors really now, but I have them just in case, especially like if like I damage my hand or it gets too cold and my hand starts to play up. That's the times when I reach for those. And then I have another one of those picky tools, so I never run out of them. They're probably one of the best tools that I've got in my craft stash, to be honest. And then I have a pair of tweezers. Now these came from Primark in a set of two. Again, they're used quite a lot when it's like small little die pieces. Sorry, I just kicked you. I then have a bunch of pens in here. So these are all my gel pens. I don't use all of these. Obviously, my most go-to ones are the white ones. So while I was just starting up crafting-wise, it was this pen that I used to reach for. It's the Uniball Signa Angelic Colored White. I now only use this for actually writing in black cardstock because I just find it's not as sharp as I'd want it to be. I then have a clear gel pen. I just got this as a freebie out of a gift set. I then have some cheap white gel pens that I got off, I believe it was eBay. Again, this is when I was first starting up, and they've still been in here for so long. So again, I don't reach for them as much. I just find they don't work as much as I would want them to. And then we have our Signa. So this one is in gold, and then we have it in the silver. I use these occasionally if I want to add like the details for jewelry and stuff. But again, it's not something I reach for all the time. These are the ones that I generally reach for. So we have our Jelly Glaze black pen, and then our Jelly Glaze white pen. The Jelly Glaze white is in, I don't actually know what size that is, but the white one is always in an 8. I just find that that's the best one. And then if I want to add some glitter and I don't want to use my Wink of Stella or my Spectrum Noir or whatever it is, I generally go with this one. So this is just the Stardust Jelly Roll. So those are my go-to gel pens. So I'm gonna pop them this side. I then have another set of tweezers, but obviously these are self-holding or closing or whatever you want to call it. So again, that's generally used when I'm heat embossing. I then have the Memento Jewel markers. Now, obviously, my go-to ink pads for stamping are these. So I just got the same ones in the same colors. So like if I miss something or it doesn't reach far enough, I can come in. Yeah, apologies, a little bit tired. But yes, I can come in and just like redraw over whatever it's been missed. So I have the Rich Cocoa, the Summer Skies, London Fog, and then obviously Tuxedo Black. And basically all of these are the jewel markers. Let's pop them in here. And basically it has two ends. You have the thicker end, and then you have the soft end. So I generally tend to use the thicker end for most things, but I like to have them in there. I then have obviously all of my Spectrum Noir pens. So I have two of just the clear overlay. One's running out and one's like brand new, so it's too juicy. So what I do is I tend to mix the two. So I generally put the newest one on a small acrylic block and then use the drier one to actually apply it to my card. Again, oh, this isn't Wink of Stella, I just realized. This is my Wink of Stella and then my handmade iridescent medium one. So I made my own Wink of Stella with the medium from Spectrum Noir, Spectrum Trio, Winsor & Newton, which, if you guys know, is my go-to for my pro markers, which we'll get into after. So I just made my own version of their thing. Let me just give this a shake because I don't really use it too much, unless I want like very like full. But you can see the shimmer coming out. Let me just zoom in. Can you see all that glitter there? So yeah, it definitely is adding way more pigment compared to a normal Wink of Stella, but again, I don't reach for that often, but it's in there. I then have my L'Enfant embossing pen, something I hardly reach for unless I'm doing very intricate details, but again, it's not something that I'm always reaching for, but I like to keep it in here so I know where it is. We then have my Sharpie white paint pen. I was after the thin based one, but for some reason I can never find it in the UK, so somebody recommended me the Posca fine white pen. They are very similar, but I don't love them as much as I would you know, normally love things like that. But again, I just don't have another place to put these yet, so these are just going to stay in here. And then obviously we have some pencils. Put them in there, and then I have a white pencil, so if I have to write on like craft cardstock or black cardstock, I can do that. And then the last thing in here is my micro pens. I have loads of these, but you can see they're very fine tips. So I have from 0.05 right up into the 8, which are in my drawer, so I only have the smaller ones in here. But yeah, so that's what's in my rotating pencils. So anytime I need something, it's generally from in here. And like I said, this is generally on the left side of me in my crafting desk. So that's that. I'm just going to cross off what I've talked to you guys about. Next thing I have, it's not very exciting, but it's this, and it has come in handy so many times. So I lose my dies quite a lot, and again, I'm going to mix this into why I have a little pot here. So these are all little pieces of like stamps and dies that I've got from sets that I can't remember where they've come from, so I don't lose them. But as you can see, it just sticks to it. So it stops me from losing them while I'm crafting on my desk, because I used to do that a lot. I mean, I don't know how it used to happen, but it did. So yeah, this comes in handy so much. It's just from Spellbinders. So I will link these down below for you guys. The little pot, I can't remember where this came from. I think it came from, I want to say, a dessert pot, but I can't remember. And obviously I have some little offcuts from previous stamps and stuff. Some silver, a little cloud. What else do we have in here? A strawberry. You know, these are from the craft cart. And then obviously some small little flowers, a house, another strawberry. I have some pearls in here for some reason. Don't ask me why that is in there. But I like to just keep things in there. We have a sentiment, that's the spirit. These are also my most used stamps of all time. So I straight away know where each of these have come from. So we have the Simple Room Classic Christmas add-on by Sweet November. So it's like a carpet texture. We have the little birds, that is from Hero Art's Beach Heroscape, along with the little seashells. And then the white one is actually from the Northern Lights Polar Bear set from Hero Arts. And I used to use that a lot to give me that like sparkly effect if I didn't actually want to add it to my card using a white gel pen and I didn't want to freehand. So these are my small little ones that I use for a lot. So yeah, they're just in there all the time. And then I have my little square tray, which I use all the time for all of my little embellishments. It just saves me making a mess. So that's those two things. Okay, so the next bit, it's not very exciting, but I always end up with like pieces of scrap, and I want to make sure I use them instead of keep buying new and refilling stuff. So I have a pencil case here. This is from scrapbooking, I think. This actually came with a stamp set that I bought, and it just has all of my pattern papers, black cardstocks, you know, colored cardstocks. They all go in here. That way I'm not wasting anything. And then I have the bigger one, which is for mostly my white cardstock. That way, if I ever just need white, I can just go in here. We're just gonna cut that and pop that in. That one we're not gonna save anything from. And then I also put vellum in here because I have a love-hate relationship with vellum. I don't know if anybody's like me, but sometimes I love vellum, sometimes I absolutely hate it, because it's so hard to store without it getting crinkled. So yeah, I just have that little pen. And then we're just gonna quickly Put them back in there. And then this is obviously my whites. So this folder used to be for my receipts throughout the year. I now have a different container for that, so I don't have to worry about it. But this is where I go anytime I just need a small piece of scrap paper. And then this is where I go for any color scrap paper that I need. I have those. They're generally in the drawers next to me at the side. Okay, so the next thing I have is actually across from me, and I'm gonna take you over. So anytime I have pieces of card that I want to get rid, I used to just throw them in my normal generic bin, but you know, I want to do my bit for the environment, so I decided to get a separate bin just for cardstock and papers. That way I can just put it in the recycling bin rather than having to sort through it all and all of that. So let me get up. We're just going to go over here. So this is where it is. And I just chuck them in there. Obviously, I can close the lid, but I generally don't because I just always, you know, what's this? But it is hung on the side of my cart here. So all I do is lift this up, take it downstairs to the bin for the recycling, and that's pretty much it. So that came off Temu as well. My dad actually was the one that bought it, and he thought it was going to be like a lot bigger, and then decided that he didn't want it, so he ended up giving it me, and I absolutely love it. It's become one of my favorite things. So that's my paper bin. Pop you back in. The next is this is my little Hoover. I don't have why I have that. I actually got 2 of these, so for some reason they sent me 2 rather than the 1. So I actually have one at home, which I use to like clean off the dust and stuff on my drawers. This one I use a lot for like cleaning my mouse mat, or for cleaning up embossing powders, glitters, that sort of thing. So it's super handy. It is dying at the minute because obviously I've not changed the batteries for a while. But you can see it's just picking that up, no issues. So if you're a person that uses, you know, glitters or embossing powders or whatever it may be, maybe think about investing in one of these. I know We Are Memory Keepers do one, if you want a branded one. This is just a generic one that I got off eBay. Just got some cheap batteries in it. And then to empty it, you just push this button down here. So I need to empty my bin, to be honest with you. I just filled up my sweet tin. But you just do that, and that empties it. And then you just push that back in. And voila, going back to work. So I absolutely love this thing. Highly recommend. I generally use this, like I said, for embossing powders, but it is also really good at picking up my little backings of my foam adhesives. So if you guys are one of those people as well, then highly recommend getting one of these. So that's my little Hoover. Then my next thing, I use this probably maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and it is just, it's not a wall coloring book, I don't know. I just bought this because it was a small little book that I could put swatches in. So these are all of my distress oxides. So the reason why I have crosses in some of them, it is just because I was building up my collection, and it's where the ones I didn't have, and then I didn't have the re-inkers. I can now actually erase all this. So all it is whiteboard marker. So I can just go in with my finger and wipe it off. But this is how I find like the ink colors that I want, and it just comes in handy so much. And it's also in the same order as my ink storage and my foam daubers as well. So it's super handy for that. Obviously I still have some pages here which I could fill up with all of my memento inks if I want, but again, where my memento inks are stored, they have color swatches on the top, so I don't really need that. But you know, if I ever decide to go into another ink brand, you know, like Ultanu or Catherine Pooler or whatever, and I want to do some swatches, there's some pages in here. Like I said though, they are originally meant for, you know, coins. So like, I don't even know if they fit. Like, the coins themselves. Like, it doesn't fit a £2 coin, so I don't understand like the logic behind that. Like, if it's invented for that purpose and yet they don't fit, like, what's the point? So in a way, I'm kind of glad it's not for the coins. Maybe it's just me not getting them in proper, but I'm trying not to cut my finger because the other week that did happen. Yeah, they don't fit, so I don't know why. But actually, this coin's supposedly worth over £3,000, so that's why I keep that in my craft room. But yeah, so I have this little box. This goes in the drawer next to my desk, so anytime I need an ink color, I can just pick it up, flick through, and find the color that I need. So I highly recommend trying that out if you are that kind of person. Next thing I have is this. This is my little cloud bin. Again, this came off of Temu, and it just hooks over the edge of my drawer, and it's just got random bits and pieces that I reach for quite a lot. As you can see, I have more scraps in here, so these need to actually go in the bin. But I have dies in here that I was using and forgot to put away, or if I run out of storage pockets and I can't remember like where to put it, that's where they are. You know, I have my banner die. So we have some clouds. I then have some numbers. I've bought these like 5-6 years ago off eBay, and I still haven't used them. I don't know why I bought them. We have some dewdrop embellishments. Then we have our little containers. So as you can see, I have loads of these, and these just hold my foam daubers in. Obviously I had some spare ones, that's why they're in here, but these come in handy when I'm doing like texture paste and I want to add color and I have some left over, I don't want to waste it. I put these in here and just put the lid on, and it keeps it fresh for a little bit longer. It gives me more time to play with it. So that's another reason why that's in there. I have my little torch, so it's a laser pointer for my cat. So we have the dot. It's not going to come up on camera. We have a star. Will it show up on my desk if I do it? There we go. So we have a star, and then a mouse, a smiley face, a butterfly, and then obviously we have a UV, which I use a lot for when it's Halloween, for glow-in-the-dark stuff, and then we just have our generic flashlight. So have that in here. And then, as you can see, another foam dauber. Obviously I've lost my lid. We have some die cuts. Again, don't really need, they can go. Piece of acetate. Again, more scraps, which need to go in my scrap card box over there. We have some post-its, so if I need to write down anything, like if I run out of something, I can quickly just jot it down. Like I said, more offcuts. We have some, I forget what they call them, pom-poms. So last time I used these were actually in Easter for some bunny tails, but now Christmas is coming. Again, these could be used for the little ball on the ends of hats, so just keeping them in here so I know where they are. I have some refills of my favorite gold embossing powder. So I recently only just got this, so I haven't put it in my thing, but I don't think it's going to fit in my storage for my embossing powder, but we'll see in a second because I'm going to show you guys that. I have a random stamp, again some more offcuts, another foam daub, a pen, don't know why I have another pen in there, another pen, which is my dad's brand. What else is in here? This is my mic. So sometimes I will use this, sometimes I don't. Honestly, it really just depends on how I feel. I then have the glue tip thing. I've literally just bought some new ones because I couldn't find these, and then I found them, which really annoyed me. So I now have like 20 of them in. I then have my corner rounder. So I have 4mm, 7mm, and a 10mm. And I just have that in here, so if I want to make a rounded card, I can do so. Again, we have some more scrap card. So I used to have it's here. I have a Ziploc bag generally that's full of the little banners when I die cut them, so that way I save time. And also it protects them from getting damaged. But obviously I've not done that recently, so I'm an idiot for that. I have a floss stick in there for some reason. Perfume atomizer. So that has just some cheap perfume. It came off, actually I think it came off Temu, and it's supposed to be like a Chanel dupe. Now it really doesn't smell like anything like the Chanel, but it does smell quite good. So I have that for when I'm, you know, traveling, even though I don't really travel that far. I then have my DIY anti-static powder tool. So when I first started, I didn't want to go out and buy all these like little bits and pieces. You know, I just wanted to have something that would work. I didn't have to worry about it. So I made my own. So this is just an old sock filled with baby powder or cornstarch, I can't remember. So sometimes if I can't find my anti-static powder tool, this is what I reach for instead. And then another foam dauber, another one of my lights for my cat, some of the little pom-poms in the bottom of here. Oh, there we go, see? We have another die in here. I have no idea what that's from. We have my little blending brushes. So this is Mango Smoothie Ultra. We have Galaxy Gold, Brilliance ink. We have Chipped Sapphire. So if you guys have these little brushes, let me know down in my comments how you organize them, because I still haven't found a great way to keep them all together. So then we have Squeezed Lemonade. And then this one, I believe, is Peacock Brilliance Trio. I have another flosser. I then have a Jersey coin. And then some random bits and pieces which can all be binned. So. And then in the bottom, I have a pair of scissors. These are actually really good for when I'm doing crafting elsewhere and I just want to have some scissors. You know, they fold up and literally like they're the size of my hand. So they're really quite sharp as well. I can't remember where I got these from. I don't know if it was Temu or if it was eBay, but I remember buying them thinking these would be really handy if I have to do crafting at my dad's, not here, because obviously you guys know my mom's craft room just decides to get really hot in the summertime, so sometimes I can't do any crafting at all, and that gets to a point where I'm like, I really want to craft. So I like to have small things that I can just like take in a folder with me to my dad's, so I can do something instead of like, you know, procrastinating all the time. So yeah, that's generally what's in there. Like I said, sometimes it was organized, sometimes it's not. It literally just depends on my own personal preference. Like I said, some of this stuff needs to come out of here, to be honest, because it doesn't need to be in here. We're going to put these back in because I need to find the storage pockets that they go in. We're going to keep them in there. Again, like I said, we're going to pop them back in. Pop that in. My microphone. My scissors. I don't need to put that 5 pence back in. That was me dropping things. Sorry, guys. That was probably really loud as well for you guys. We're going to pop them in there. I am going to keep one light in there, just so when it comes to the time when I need a light, I have one. But that's my storage pocket that goes on my desk all the time. The next thing I have is my stamp cleaner, which came from Temu itself. And, you know, one side you put your stamp cleaning And then you have another one which is dry. Now I used this yesterday, this stamp, and you can see it's still got ink on there, so I do need to clean it. So there we go, I'm back. So here's my stamping cleaner, and all I do is I apply it in here. Sometimes I'll apply it directly to my stamp, sometimes I just put it in here. You could just put water in here, it's very much up to you. And then I'm going to take that off there, put it on an acrylic block, and we're just going to rub that in here. And you can see it's getting clean. Yeah, and then I'm just going to put it in this one, and that just dries it. And we now have a clean stamp. So this can get put back away where it needs to go, so I'm going to stick it to my tablet so I know where it goes. So yeah, it even has instructions on the back. I don't know why you would need instructions, but there you go. So yeah, they had it in different colors. I just went with the blue because obviously my craft room's themed blue. So that's another go-to thing in my craft room. And then we're just gonna put my piece of acetate back in there. Then my next thing that I want to share with you guys is, where have we gone? Where have we gone? Ah, it's here. So I have this thing. This is just another container, and I use this for all of my die cuts. So if I am doing a lot of die cutting and stuff, if you're wondering what that is, by the way, here it is Debbie J Live. So basically she went live and I decided to watch her. But yeah, I have this little pot, and like, say if I'm doing like Spellbinders or MFT and it requires a lot of die cutting, I generally pre-die cut everything before I film a video. It just makes the videos quicker. And this is where it generally gets put, into these. I actually have no idea what this is originally for, but I found this in my local supermarket. I think it's supposed to be like a dish for like sauces, for like chips or something. I really don't freaking know. But yeah, have that and it works great for me. Something else that is always next to my desk is this little basket. Now these little baskets are everywhere in my craft room. I have them for my re-inkers, I have them for my stamps and dies, I have them for my, what else do I have them for? I have them for my selling products, you know, I have them for excess foam daubers, sponges, I have them for pretty much everything. This one in particular holds all my PROMARKERs after I finish using them, because obviously I like to add these into my video descriptions so you guys can go out and buy the colors that you want, or if you guys want to see what colors I've used. Speaking of, that pen needs to go back in there. So yeah, this is always next to my desk, and then once I finish doing editing, these get put away in the storage containers that I have, which is over on my desk. So we're gonna go and do that in a second because I want to show you guys that. I also do have several bins in my craft room. So like I said, you've seen my paper bin, I call it, and then also I do have, you know, a small little black bin that I use next to my desk for anything that isn't paper related. And then I have one across from me, which is for when I'm, you know, doing hot chocolate season. And then I have one under my desk while I'm editing. Sometimes I'll eat lunch or something, so that's another bin. And then I have a generic giant bin, which is where all the little ones get emptied into. But I always find it's helpful to have loads of bins, that way I can just go through. But yeah, the next thing I have, which is definitely a must for me, because the amount of times I get injured accidentally cutting myself is ridiculous. So this is a game changer for me personally. It is spray plaster. So instead of putting band-aids or plasters on my skin, because sometimes I get irritated with that, or it, you know, it gets contaminated, and yeah, it's not the greatest. So I buy this every time I go downtown and they have it in, because it's so good. It sells out super quick. But basically it's just an instant, transparent, water resistant protection to wounds, and it helps healing faster. So I had a cut, I don't know how many videos ago, maybe like, I don't know when this video is gonna go up, but I had a cut on my arm from my cat when she accidentally scratched me, and I sprayed this on. Not even like a day later, it had healed over properly, and then 2 days later you couldn't even tell that she had scratched me. So yeah, definitely recommend buying a spray plaster if you're a person that's prone to getting cut because it's super handy. But like I said, I try not to cut myself too much. Then the last few things I want to share with you are actually over the other side of my desk, so let's go over there. Now, I'm gonna just, ooh, nearly fell off. So over here, these are all of my storage bins. You've seen these before. I do need to go through them again because they're starting to overflow. So what I need to do is I need to take the seasonal stuff out. So at the minute it's got all like summer stuff in. I need to change it for like all the fall and autumn and Christmas and Halloween things. And then obviously I have all my cards in here. I just knocked that off. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to share with you. So I have these little hooks. And these are shower ring hooks, I believe. And all I do is I attach my stencils to them, so that way I can just grab this. I obviously have some up here that are new and not been used yet, or if they're too long and they just weigh this down. But those rings come in handy for a lot. I have another one over there on that side. And again, that just really helps. Like I said, generic bins comes in handy. All of that needs to actually go in my bin. But I'm waiting for my neighbor because he said he's going to get a skip, so I can put it in there. So that saves me a bit of time. Then my desk. So this is where obviously where I do all my crafting. You're going to get flashing now. Obviously there's a lot of things now missing because generally pen pot is here. But the thing I want to show you is this. So this is where all of my pro markers go. My mom actually watched me yesterday. She was talking to me online because she's away at the minute. And I was like putting my markers away and she's like, how do you know where they go? So basically when I first got this, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. I think I started off with like just 6 layers. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18 layers on there. But the way I keep track is this thing up here. So I just took an A4 photo frame, printed off the color chart, colored that in. So say if I wanted a color of green, I go up here, I find the green that I want. Let's say I want forest green. I go down here. Now I know where forest green is straight away because I use it quite a bit. And you start to like remember the placements of it. It's like if I ever need like a red, I know for a fact my pastel pink is here on the 5th row down at the edge. So I know my reds are 2 rows above it to the left. You know, so after a while you do get used to like what is needed, I guess. But yeah, I get used to it. So the color charts are definitely a very good thing to have. I also have my storage stuff up here, which is all of my, all of my distress oxides. And then that is literally all phone adhesive and low tack tape. I then have these little buckets over here, which are full of like glue refills. And then this side is all of my foam dauber toppings. Obviously have some lights with some cards on at the minute. And then I think the last thing I want to share with you guys is actually 2 of storage ideas. All of that needs to be sold. But in this corner, you can see I have all of my stamping platforms, my magnetic boxes. I'm actually missing one of them, which is really weird. I'm convinced I had the smaller one as well. Maybe it's fallen down the back. But this thing is actually so handy for me. let me just sort this out because that's going to bug me. There we go. So obviously we have our, let's turn this around. It's going to fall now because all the weight's to the back. Let's just turn that around. And then obviously the last one that goes in here is the smaller one. So it's just a letter organizer, but I thought this would be super handy just to have to organize all of my big things. Originally they were going to go in here to organize, but obviously it's my most reached for item, so it just made more sense to have it up here. And then to the right of that is where I have all of my embossing powders. So this is actually a rotating coffee filter or coffee pot holder, and I just have all of my embossing powders in here. So obviously these ones are too big, they don't fit in there, but you know, some of them are too small, so they just fall through. It's very annoying. So yeah, not all of my embossing powders are on there, but most of them are. And then the last thing I want to share with you is this. So this is actually used to hold nail polishes, and it's plastic. Obviously I wish they did rows of 8, because I believe this is only 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, it's only 7. I wish they had rows of 8, because those are the only ones that didn't fit in it. So again, this is how I store all of my ink blending tools. So every Distress Oxide that I have has its own tool. It just makes my life easier. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I don't have anything else to share with you organizational wise, or like my favorite thing. Oh, that's a lie. I have one thing that I highly recommend if you're like me and you have carpet as well as wood flooring in your craft room. And this did come off Temu, I do know that. Let me just stand it up. It is a sweeping brush, but it's not your generic brush. It's this type of material. It's a silicone, and this just helps pick up those tiny pieces of paper that get stuck in your carpet, because I used to use my Hoover and it kept blocking every time I used it. So this is obviously just, let me just turn you around. So yeah, it helps pick up paper, no problem, on wood flooring, on carpet. And it also has, if I turn it around, it has this like squeegee as well on the other side. So if you have like fur or hair in your carpet, I knew that was gonna happen. I apologize for that, guys. But yeah, this is awesome. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever bought for my craft room. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Like I said, the reason I did this video is because I have so many things that I use on the daily. If you guys want any other videos like this, let me know in my comments. The last thing I actually do have are obviously my storage for my stamps for posting, like in here. That's international, we have second class, and then my first class. Then we have return labels, my brand, warnings, QR codes, and then all my thank you for your purchase. And then the last one is full of seasonal. I'm knackered walking up and down there. So these are all my seasonal ones. So these are all my designs that I made. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was my air freshener. Actually, it does need to be changed because it's empty now, which is great because I'm actually going to be filming a decorate with me for autumn/fall. So that video will be going up. I don't know if this video is going up before that or after, but yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in my comments if you guys have any, you know, other video requests that you want to see, and also let me know down in my comments if you have any of these items and you find them helpful too, because I would love to know what your guys' craft rooms are like. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.